Worlds 2025 was meant to be the year of redemption, with titans like Gen G, Anyone's Legend, and BLG stepping into the arena. Fans expected chaos, the kind of unpredictable Worlds chaos that rewrites history. And they got exactly that, but not in the way they hoped. On home soil, in front of thousands of Chinese fans, the LPL was ready to reclaim the Summoners Cup along with their pride, only for their dream to be shattered piece by piece by one familiar name: T1. Faker and his team sent nearly every LPL representative packing, turning what was supposed to be a celebration of Chinese dominance into a brutal reminder of Korean control. Before we dive into the full story of how this happened and how it might mark the true downfall of the LPL, make sure to like this video and subscribe. It's our first upload and your support means everything. Now, let's get into it. When the qualified teams for Worlds 2025 were announced, fans from every region began choosing their favorites. Gen G, Hanwha Life, BLG, and Anyone's Legend all carried immense expectations. Some as first seeds, others as super teams forged from raw talent and consistency. Meanwhile, teams like T1 and KT entered under the radar. A rough season, roster changes, and internal struggles had pushed them down the standings. To most analysts, the LCK lower seeds looked fragile and ready to break. Yet, anyone who's followed League long enough knows that's when legends are born. The LPL, however, had every reason to be confident. Worlds 2025 was going to be hosted in China. 4 LPL representatives, a roaring home crowd, and the weight of a legacy, a region that hadn't lifted the cup since ADG's miracle run in 2021. The dream began with a play-in match between T1 and Invictus Gaming, the LCK and LPL's 4th seeds, fighting for a final spot at Worlds. IG entered with confidence, history, and the crowd behind them, but T1 had something else, that unshakable Worlds aura. In just 4 games, they silenced the arena. A 3-1 victory marked T1's 11th consecutive best of 5 win against LPL opponents at Worlds. At that moment, the mood in China shifted. The home advantage began to feel like a curse. The dream of reclaiming glory started to crack. The defending champions had awoken, and the story of the LPL's downfall had begun.
They've taken down BLG, they've taken down LNG. It is not LPL versus LCK, it is T1 versus the LPL, and they like those odds. As he looks for a little bit more. Oh, they go back in. Baker flashes in, and down goes Knight. Once again, when you need someone, when you need anyone to stand up and show just what this game's all about, it's Faker. He finds another.
These are just 2 examples of LPL's recent history at Worlds for the past 4 years. Statements that stand proud in front of T1's dominant legacy. Someone who wanted to completely change this, however, was BLG, the LPL's first seed and last year's finalists, who lost in front of T1. Bean wanted to take the matters into his own hands and change the course of things as they were, and T1's run as briefly as possible. With a relatively dominant season in the LPL and new members in their team, BLG was eager to face T1, as stated by BLG's top laner Chen Bin Zebin. However, after brief ups and downs, losing against 100 Thieves, coming back against Fnatic, only to then lose in front of G2, Bean's eagerness started to slowly but surely fade away. BLG seemed to have gotten their stuff together for a second, winning a best of 3 against VKS and advancing to the 5th round of the Swiss stage. There, BLG was put on a cannibalistic best of 3 match against the LPL's 3rd seed, Top Esports. The outcome was a surprising 2-1 victory on the side of TES, sending BLG home and securing themselves a place in the knockout stage. In the quarterfinals, LCK's KT swiftly defeated CFO on a 3-0 victory. Then they advanced to the semifinals against JNG, who had just defeated HA Lee on a 3-1 victory. TES also advanced after sending Europe's G2 home on a 3-1 win, now facing T1, who had just defeated AL, the LPL second seed, on a 3-2 victory. From the full-on brawls that followed, JNG was upset by KT, while T1 had a dominant 3-0 win over TES, advancing to the grand final against KT. Two Korean teams, LCK's lowest seeds, advanced to the finals, slowly placing a rose over the LPL's dream of winning the Summoners Cup on their own ground. This is the downfall of the LPL. So, where exactly is the problem here? Are the LPL teams overrated, or is it the good old T1 Worlds buff that cannot be cleansed by the Chinese? Well, overall, it seems that the LPL teams fell short under the pressure and they started to make mistakes and lose the control over the series. While we can say that T1 might be an unending curse for them, we cannot simply rely just on this idea, because, as statistics speak for themselves, in 2024 T1 had a rough year and barely qualified for the tournament. Moreover, this year, T1 had once again struggled to qualify, being the 4th seed of the LCK. So, if T1 are not unstoppable and just perform in Worlds, could this be a curse in front of which Chinese teams will kneel to till Faker retires, or is it just a case of underperforming when it really matters? Firstly, we'll take a look at the IG vs T1 best of 5 series in the play-ins. In Game 1, IG's top laner, The Shy, picked Rek'Sai against Doran Sambesa, and for a while things were looking pretty good until they didn't. The Shy had some questionable engages into T1's backline, such as the dive under the turret with the goal of taking down Gumayushi. Very important to note is that during that controversial decision, IG was leading and snowballing the game with a 2.5 goal lead over T1. As a consequence of the Shy's decision, T1 forced a 4v5 fight where eventually they also killed Rookie and Wei, even taking the Baron for themselves, leading to a complete disaster and a win for T1 in Game 1. In Game 3 of the same series, the Shy was once again underperforming and caught off guard so many times by the LCK team. By the 31st minute of the game, the Shy's Rumble was already 2.4 gold under Doran's Galio, sitting at 7 deaths. He was caught in bad positions the whole game, even getting flanked way too many times by T1's mid laner Faker. In Game 4, IG knew that at that moment it was a do or die scenario, so with the elimination game on the table, the Shy picked Varus against Ornn. A decision that raised many hilarious reactions, even bringing back an old nickname gained mainly from streamer Kadrel's community, the Spy.
Oh my god, he's playing T1. Is that the T1 Varus skin he's playing top? Is he really the Spy? Like, come on, man. Surely when they were saying that he needs to throw, he can't make it obvious. Varus top with the T1 skin? Like, what?
Despite this, the game seemed to be in the hands of the Chinese representatives, as Rookie managed to find some good picks and the Shy solo killing T1's top laner Doran, but suddenly things started to fall off. In the 16th minute of the game, the Shy was caught overextending and was solo killed by Doran and Owner under T1 turret. That death led to a 3-man rotation on bot lane from IG, where they tried to take something in return, but that force engage only led to a complete disaster, where Doran and Owner left the fight alive, and Gumayushi sliding over the IG members. At the 18th minute, despite knowing that T1 controls vision and map for at least a few minutes, the Shy found himself in another bad spot, being caught up again by Doran, Owner and Gumayushi, as he ended up killed once again. His death led to another forced fight from the both teams, where T1 managed to take the win. From that very moment until the end of the game, T1 were marching in a commanding fashion, and with that IG was eliminated from the tournament. But the T1 curse over the LPL didn't stop there, of course, because in the knockouts, the Chinese teams found themselves versus T1 again, first victim being anyone's Legend, LPL's second seed. In a bloody best of 5 series, AL almost did the impossible, but as Fakers once stated, all roads lead to him, and so it was. AL failed to take down the reigning champions with a final score of 3-2. In Game 1, despite witnessing IG's mistakes, Flandre picked Rek'Sai on top lane and Tarzan locked in Kiana, and let's just say this. The game ended in 35 minutes with a score of 5-18 and a 9.5 goal lead for T1. Moving on to the semifinals, Top Esports found themselves against T1 for the 4th consecutive year at Worlds, and while in the past things were relatively even, this time it wasn't even close. The series ended shortly, with a dominating performance from T1 as they 3-0'd the Chinese team. During all 3 games, TES seemingly stood no chance. In the 23rd minute of the first game, T1 was already 5.2k gold over TES, with their legendary AD carry, Jackie Love, barely even allowed to step on the map, with a total of 6 deaths and a 3k gold difference under T1's AD carry, Gumayushi. Game 2 was somewhat close, with only a 4.5k gold difference for T1, but when time came for Game 3, T1 showed the world that Chinese teams are not enough to lift the heavy crown that they proudly wear, as they ended the game in 30 minutes with 34 kills to their name and an outstanding lead of 10,000 gold, concluding the LPL's run at this year's Worlds tournament and taking away their chance of winning the Summoners Cup on their home ground. In the end, the numbers tell the story. T1's dominance didn't just eliminate teams, it dismantled a region's confidence. Every LPL representative that stood before Faker had fallen, one after another, until no Chinese banner remained. On their own home soil, the LPL was forced to watch as 2 LCK underdogs, T1 and KT Rolster, clashed in the grand final. A sight no one in China expected, yet one that said everything. The fall of the LPL didn't just happen on stage. It played out in thousands of chats, live streams and Chinese social feeds. With T1's victories also came the harsh reality of the LPL's struggles. More and more pro players have left the scene, with more to leave in the future. Teams are also starting to crumble under Korea's iron's grip. The once stable powerhouse organization, RNG, has been forced to forfeit developmental league matches as the organization is facing both legal and financial issues. Rumors have also started to appear regarding RNG's and FPX departure from the LPL from 2026. With a 30% reduced salary cap, many teams are expected to leave the LPL as their organization's 10 years contracts will end in the next 2 years. For viewers and fans, the message is clear. The LPL's decline isn't just about losses to T1 or the LCK, it's about money, institution, structure, and above all, mindset. When a region travels to its own home stadium and gets shown the door again and again, the damage is psychological. When sponsors and talent starts viewing that region as a sinking ship rather than a refuge, the damage becomes existential. So yes, the real question now, is this the downfall of the LPL? A region once feared and revered, now watching from the sidelines as Korean squads reclaim international supremacy. A region whose home turf became a tomb of hope. A region where businesses cracks are forming behind the scenes. Does the LPL collapse now? Not necessarily, but what you're witnessing might be the end of the golden era. If team leaves, if budgets shrink, if the pipeline of talent dries up, then Worlds 2025 won't be remembered as another tournament. It will be remembered as the turning point. And for T1, for Faker, for the legacy builders who refused to bow, they didn't just win matches, they took a legacy. For the LPL, the work begins now. Rebuild or resign. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit like, subscribe, and tell us, do you believe the LPL can recover? Or is it done? Let's dive deep into the future together.